Okay, so let me just pull up where you're at on the current vehicle, the salesman says, and spins the monitor halfway toward you. You lean in, expecting a number with a plus sign in front of it. 3 years of payments. Never missed one. There should be something there. The number on the screen is red, and it has a minus in front of it. You owe $4,217 more than the car is worth. That gap doesn't disappear when you hand the car over. It follows you into the next one. Jake found that out at this exact desk, staring at this exact red number. And what the salesman said next is the part nobody warns you about. That gap is the most normal thing in the world right now. Nearly 1 in 3 people trading in a car owe more on it than it's worth. And the average person who's underwater owes a record $7,214, more than the car will ever sell for. Read that again. That's $7,214 of debt stuck to a car you're trying to get rid of. And the moment the salesman sees that red number, he doesn't flinch. He brightens, because a customer who owes more than their car is worth is a customer who has to keep buying their way out. So he offers a fix. The fix is the trap. At Mr. Sense, we spend way too much time reading the loan paperwork dealers hope you sign on autopilot. So if you've ever driven off a lot with a quiet feeling you just got handled, subscribe. We break down one money trap every day so you see the next one coming. There's a name for this. We call it the Rollover Trap. And once you see how it's built, you can't unsee it. Rolling what you owe into the next loan doesn't make the debt go away. It just hides it inside a bigger loan, where it quietly costs you more. Start with how you ended up underwater in the first place, because you almost certainly did nothing wrong. A new car loses about 20% of its value in the first year, gone before you finish setting the radio stations. Meanwhile, the average new car now costs $49,353, up more than 30% from 6 years ago, and the typical buyer puts only about $6,200 down, barely 12% of the price. So picture a hole. The day you drive off, the car loses value faster than you pay the loan down, and a gap opens between what you owe and what it's worth. For the first year or two, that hole only gets deeper. You're not behind on a single payment. You're not doing anything wrong. The math just digs faster than you can fill. Jake did everything by the book. $62,000 a year, a sensible midsize SUV, every payment on time for 3 years. He walks in to trade up and the screen says he's $4,217 in the hole. He didn't overspend. He didn't miss anything. He bought a car the same way almost everyone buys a car, and the same way almost everyone buys a car is exactly what put him underwater. Here's the kicker that flips the whole thing. The salesman already has a solution ready, and it sounds like mercy. We'll just roll that into the new loan. It sounds painless. What it actually means? The $4,217 you still owe on the old car gets added to the price of the new one, and you finance the whole pile together. The debt didn't get paid. It just got a new home and a longer lease. And to keep the monthly payment from looking insane, they stretch the loan out. 84 months, 7 years. More than 40% of people who roll old debt into a new car sign an 84-month loan. That means you'll still be making payments on this car in 2033, long after the car itself has quietly given up. The longer term shaves the monthly number down just enough to feel survivable, and that lower number is the bait. Researchers who dug through 2.4 million car loans found that people shop for the monthly payment, not the price of the car. They'll sign up for a much longer loan just to shave the payment, even when it costs them thousands more in the end. The dealer knows this better than you do. The payment is the only number most people look at, so the payment is the number they build the whole deal around. It gets worse because rolling forward doesn't just move the debt, it grows it. The person who rolls in what they owe finances about $12,000 more than a normal buyer, ending up borrowing close to $56,000 on a single car. And because they now look riskier to the lender, they pay a higher interest rate, nearly 8% versus under 7% for everybody else. Bigger balance, longer term, higher rate. The hole didn't close. You just agreed to dig it for 7 more years and pay interest on the dirt. And for a lot of people, the hole isn't $4,000 deep. It's a canyon. More than a quarter of underwater trade-ins right now owe over $10,000 on a car they're about to hand back to a dealer. $10,000 of debt for a vehicle that's about to belong to someone else. This is the moment to check your own glove box math. Pull up what you still owe on your car, then look up what it'd actually sell for today. If the first number is bigger than the second, you're underwater right now, and the dealer will know it before you finish sitting down. Want to see where this road ends? Meet Pete. Pete's a contractor. He needs a truck that runs every single day, no excuses. Pete isn't on his first rollover. He's on his third. Every 3 or 4 years the truck wears out. He trades it in still owing on it. rolls the gap forward, and signs another long loan. He has never once owned a vehicle free and clear. The average underwater trade-in today is 4.3 years old. People are holding their cars longer than ever and still can't outrun the gap, because every rollover hands the next car a head start on being underwater. Pete's been on this treadmill so long he thinks the treadmill is just what walking feels like. We'll come back to how Pete gets off it, because there is a way out, and it has nothing to do with the loan they're sliding across the desk. Hold on to that. First, the part the comments are going to fight us on. Let's walk Jake's deal the way the finance office walked it, except we'll say the quiet parts out loud. The new SUV stickers at $37,460. Jake puts $3,000 down. So far, so normal. Then the $4,217 he still owed on the old car gets rolled on top. Now he's financing $38,677 for a car that cost $37,460. He is underwater the instant he signs before he's even pulled off the lot. They stretch it to 84 months so the payment feels comfortable. Comfortable lands at a record $916 a month. The average new car payment is $772. So Jake is paying $144 a month extra every month, just for the privilege of rolling the old debt in. Over the life of that loan, the person who rolls debt forward pays about $15,663 in interest versus $9,592 for a buyer who didn't roll anything. Say it out loud. That's roughly $6,000 extra handed to the lender for moving an old debt into a new car. And remember, Jake's $4,217 is the lucky version. The average person underwater owes a record $7,214 and rolls every dollar of it forward into a bigger loan. Here's what that $916 payment actually does to Jake. On $62,000 a year after taxes and the basics, that one payment swallows most of what he had left for anything that isn't a bill. $916 a month is over $30 a day. Every single day he wakes up owing the lender for a decision he made once on a car that's already worth less than when he went to sleep. The car stopped being a convenience the day he signed. It became a second rent. Being underwater isn't a problem the bank manager wants to solve. It's the current he's counting on to keep you paddling toward him. Before the comments catch fire, let's Steelman the other side. There's a real argument here, and it goes like this. Everyone's underwater the second they drive off the lot. That's just how cars work, and rolling it over keeps my payment affordable, so what's the big deal? And honestly, parts of that are true. A new car really does lose about a fifth of its value in year one. So almost everyone is underwater for the first stretch of any loan. Long loans aren't some fringe thing either. Most new car loans now run 5 years or more. And here's the strongest version of the argument. The share of people underwater today, right around 30%, is actually lower than it was before the pandemic, when it hit nearly 34%. By that math, this isn't a new crisis. It's a Tuesday. Here's where that argument breaks. It's right about how many people are underwater and dead wrong about how deep. The dollar amount is the part that has never been worse. A record $7,000 rolled forward on cars that are now over 4 years old and still underwater. Being a little upside down early in a loan is normal and survivable. Carrying a 5-figure gap from car to car to car is not. And the fix that keeps your payment affordable, the 84-month loan, is the exact thing that keeps you upside down longer. So here's the rule. If the only way to afford the car is to stretch the loan to 7 years or roll in what you still owe, that's not a financing problem you can sign your way out of. That's the car telling you it's too expensive. Buy less or wait. So here's how you stay out of the rollover trap. 3 moves, and none of them are hard. The hard part is doing them before you fall in love with a car on the lot. Move 1. Know your number before you walk in. 2 numbers decide everything, and you can get both for free tonight on your phone. The first is your payoff, what you'd owe to make the car go away today. Your lender shows it right in the app. The second is what your car would actually sell for. Any of the big valuation sites will tell you in about 30 seconds. If your payoff is bigger than the sale price, you're underwater, and now you know it before a salesman does. Knowledge isn't power here. Knowledge is the entire difference between negotiating and getting handled. The dealer's whole advantage is that he ran those 2 numbers and you didn't. Move 2. Never roll it forward. This is the whole ballgame. If you're underwater, the answer is never a longer loan, because the longer loan is the trap wearing a helpful smile. You've got 3 honest options instead. Pay the gap down in cash if you can, so you walk in even. Or, and this is the quiet superpower, just keep driving the car you already have. Every month you keep it and keep paying, the hole fills a little. Give it a year or 2 and you climb back above water, and now your trade-in is finally worth something. Or buy a cheaper car so the new payment doesn't swallow you whole. What you do not do is let someone bury $4,000 or $7,000 dollars of old debt inside a new loan and call it a favor. Move 3. More down, shorter term. The reason so many people are underwater on day one is that they put almost nothing down. The average down payment is only about 12% of the price. And then they stretch the loan to 7 years. Flip both. A bigger down payment means you start closer to even instead of in a hole. And a shorter loan, 4 or 5 years instead of 7, means you pay the car down faster than it loses value. So the gap closes instead of trailing you for years. Yes, the monthly payment is higher on a shorter loan. That higher payment is the price of never being trapped. You pay it on purpose or you pay the lender to keep you underwater. Those are the only two choices. This is exactly what Emily did. Her income swings hard. Some months are huge, some are lean. So she is allergic to chaining herself to a giant payment. She went into trade up, found out she was $3,000 underwater, and did the thing almost nobody does. She stood up and left. She drove the old car 6 more months, paid the gap down to nothing, came back, put real money down, and took a 5-year loan instead of a 7-year one. She doesn't earn more than the person who rolled it forward. She just refused to dig the hole deeper. That's not some discipline you're born with. That's just knowing where the trap is. And remember, Pete, 3 trucks deep on the treadmill? Pete's way out is the boring one, and it works. He stops trading early. He keeps the current truck 2 extra years past the point where he owes anything on it, and for the first time in his adult life, he owns the thing outright. When he finally does trade, he's got real equity instead of a gap, and the next loan starts clean. The treadmill only runs as long as you keep trading while you still owe. Stop doing that, and the treadmill stops. And here's the genuinely hopeful part. There's research on this. When people are simply told, in plain words, that long loans put them at risk of going upside down, they stop reaching for the longest term on their own. Nobody forced them. Once you can see the trap, it stops working on you, which means the most valuable thing in this entire video isn't a number. It's that you now know the fix the dealer offers is the trap itself, and you'll feel it the second someone says, "We'll just roll that in." So picture that desk one more time. The salesman spins the monitor towards you, and the number comes back red. You owe more than the car is worth, maybe $4,000, maybe the record $7,214 the average buyer now carries. He leans back and says the line everyone hears, "We'll just roll that in." That used to sound like help. Now you hear it for exactly what it is in the opening line of another 7 years in the hole. So you do the thing Emily did. You stand up. The gap doesn't vanish because you walked away, but it stops growing the second you stop feeding it. Subscribe or don't. The math doesn't change either way. The car loses value every morning whether or not you understand why. The only real question is whether you're the one who sees the trap coming, or the one still paddling toward the bank, wondering why the shore keeps getting farther away.